Hello, good evening. Welcome back. I am Reverend Philip Ong, your co-student in God's Word through Salva Vida Ministries. As we continue our series on Satan is defeated, let's talk about face-to-face in 1 Corinthians of the Apostle Paul. Now, the defeat of Satan will be of the establishment of the kingdom in the new creation, and that was the old covenant hope of Israel, as Paul described it as the time of being face to face. Now let's cross-reference this to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 4. Apostle Paul said, "There is one body and one spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call." And as we discussed the victory of Christ, it gave us hope that leads us to call it Christ's kingdom. And you could call it Christ's resurrection. And you could also call it the new creation. Now 1 Corinthians 13:10 says, But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. And verse 11 says, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways." Verse 12 says, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known." Face to face, according to Apostle Paul. So Apostle Paul explains that the immaturity of the old covenant Israel was about to pass away, because they were witnessing and living in the last days of the old covenant Israel, to the time of face-to-face in fulfillment of God's promise to old covenant Israel. Now the prophecy taken by the Apostle Paul, where he derived his face-to-face ideology, came from Isaiah 52 verse 1. "Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean." Now this is a teaching about resurrection. Is going to occur at the wedding of the Lamb, where the garment is needed to take place at the coming of the groom. Isaiah 52 verse 2, "Shake yourself from the dust and arise. Be seated, O Jerusalem. Loose the bands from your neck, O captive daughter of Zion." This is the imagery of the restoration of Jerusalem and Israel. Now Isaiah 52 verse 7, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace, who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns." Now Apostle Paul called this Romans 10:15, the salvation is basic doctrine that includes the kingdom, the defeat of Satan. Now let's continue on verse 8 of Isaiah 52. "The voice of your watchmen, they lift up their voice together, they sing for joy, for eye to eye they see the return of the Lord to Zion." This is where the Apostle Paul taken that phrase, face to face, eye to eye. They will see the return of the Lord to Zion. Now verse 9 of 52 of Isaiah, "Break forth together into singing, you waste places of Jerusalem. For the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem." Verse 10 says, "The Lord has bared his holy arm. The Lord has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God." Now let's conclude tonight's message. Therefore, Apostle Paul was testifying to them that restoration of Jerusalem was taking place right there in front of their eyes. Eyes to eyes, or face to face. Christ's victory over Satan is affirmed in the New Testament. So, that is the good news, that Jesus is already victorious according to the Apostle Paul. So, in line with our motto, okay, if it is God is willing, see you next week. As we say in Salva Vida Ministries, Jesus is the one bringing hope in times of trouble, and we are witnessing Jesus as God's saving grace. Good night.
When the waves of life pull you down and your heart is lost and bound, there's a